Wilson. I know Russell Wilson is in the spotlight a lot more now because of the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm picking the 49ers. I know you're going with the Seahawks there, but what's your take? I mean, the fact that they were able to shut down Cam Newton, what makes you think that they can't do that with Russell Wilson?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that they shut down Cam Newton. I'd say they contained him, if anything. But Russell Wilson, one he has that playoff experience, whereas this is Cam Newton's first playoff game. Hats off to him and the rest of the Panthers. My boy Steve Smith, who another year goes by, he doesn't get his trip back to the Super Bowl. But Russell Wilson and the Seahawks offense, they click in a certain kind of way. Something special that goes on there, them, and then you mix that with the fans, which is something crazy. The fans actually caused an earthquake on Marshawn Lynch's touchdown, which is just crazy in itself. So it's going to be an amazing thing for them to try and stop Russell Wilson. They're going to have to do a lot. That defense is really going to have to show improve. Same thing with both defenses, because we're talking about two of the top defenses. The Seahawks, I believe, are number one right now in a lot of those defensive categories. So they're going to have to work hard to shut down Kaepernick, or at least to contain him the same way that the 49ers defense.
I mean, Carolina's defense was, ranked up there as well as one of the top 5 defenses in the regular season. And the reason why I want to talk about this first is because this is one of the most interesting fan mail questions. You talk about that crowd in Seattle, and I know that during the regular season, Seattle won when they were at home, and then the San Francisco 49ers won when it went back to Candlestick Park, as I predicted in the beginning of the season that they would. But this fan mail question is very interesting. It actually comes from one of our fans in San Francisco, Charlie from San Francisco. He wrote in, fair or foul for the Seahawks to block fans with California billing addresses from buying tickets to the NFC Championship game?
Well, first of all, shout out to Charlie, and I definitely believe it's fair. All's fair in love and war and in politics and all that other good stuff. Man, this is a Seattle Seahawks home game. They worked hard to get that, and those tickets are going to the fans. And if you're not a fan of the Seahawks, then hey, your luck's out, just like Andrew Luck's luck was out this past weekend.
Well, you know what? I think that I'm going to say foul, because who's to say who in California? Like, you couldn't have lived in Seattle before and maybe be a Seahawks fan and live in California. I know that the probability of that happening is slim to none, but at the same time, there should be something illegal about that. Like, how do you not?
There's nothing illegal about it.
There should be. And I know that there isn't, but there should be.
That's a stretch. That's definitely a stretch.
I mean, if you have fans that are going to travel, that's part of sports. I go to Fenway Park as a Yankee fan, and during the Boston Massacre 5-game sweep, I went there with a broom. I wasn't allowed to bring it in there. And, but that's part, you can't, restrict fans from traveling. That's a fan experience, to travel to another stadium. Yes, you're going to get booed. Yes, you might get things thrown at you, and but
you have the choice. It's your choice as the owner. You can do whatever you want. There's no rules against it, and I'm not mad at it. Listen, one of the biggest things, especially with Seattle, is that home field, because that is a true home field advantage. Because when the opposing team's offense is on the field, it is hard to hear because they get so loud and they want to disrupt things. I mean, obviously, I doubt there's gonna be that many 49er fans that with a significant amount of them there, just because travel
usually
and everything.
Season ticket holders that get the first rights to the playoffs anyway.
But listen, it's fair, and they're not the only team that's doing it. They're not the only ones that's doing it. Denver is also doing that as well. It's just your choice. That you earn that right when you play to your best abilities and you get home field. Hey, it is what it is. If it was in San Francisco, I wouldn't be complaining about it either. Wherever it's at, you the home team, you earned that during the regular season. They should have stepped their cookies up a little bit more, and then maybe they would have home field and they could be blocking out some Seattle Seahawks fans. It is what it is. But shout out to Charlie though. Either way, man, we appreciate you you writing into
I
the
think
show.
Charlie might agree with me that it's foul because he probably is a 49ers fan
Well, you
who
know,
would like to go to the game and can't. And I think it's taken away from the fan experience. Obviously you're gonna have
the fan experience is for the home team. It's their time
Well,
to celebrate.
You do have the road trips. I mean, road tripping to opposing team stadium is part of some of the fun in sports. So taking that away, I got to go with it being foul.
We
but
taking her to take. Listen, hey, if the Giants or the Ravens, I wouldn't mind them shutting some
over
opposing
90%, even if they
fans
didn't
out.
do that, over 90% of the fans would have been from Seattle.
They want to
Seahawks
make it
fans
100.
regardless.
They want an 8.9 on the Richter scale this time. All right, they want to make that
What
earthquake
if you're originally
even.
born in Seattle? Like, could they send like a birth certificate? Or
Well,
something?
hey, if they're
Like,
originally born in Seattle, then I'm sure they got some family or some friends
But
that they
they're
could.
blocked if
They
they're-
could.
if
No,
they're-
they got
oh,
addresses in
oh.
Seattle. They got friends. I'm sure they knew somebody in Seattle. They could say, listen, they're blocking us out here in San Fran. I want to come home and watch the game. Let us in. But it is what it is. It's done now. I'm sure there will be some 49er fans, out there in Seattle. But again, I'm fine with it. You earn that home field advantage, and hey, that's one of the perks when
And
it's your stadium.
The teams with the biggest home field advantage are, hosting the conference championship. You mentioned Denver before. Denver has home field not only because of crowd noise and them doing the same thing that Seattle's doing as far as blocking things, but I mentioned this on numerous occasions, and if you're not familiar, the altitude in Denver kind of makes the opposing team who's not used to practicing there and playing there kind of a little winded, so it's a stamina issue. And that's something that, Tom Brady did not face Peyton Manning on the Broncos before in the playoffs, because last year Peyton Manning was eliminated by the Ravens and Tom Brady was eliminated by the Ravens. So we're actually going to see, for the first time in the playoffs, Brady versus Manning in Denver, too. So, I think that home field advantage in the playoffs is going to, plus the fact that he has a whole different team, a very talented team there with the Denver Broncos. I picked the Broncos to take it.
Listen, I'm still going with my guy, Tom Cool. They came back from a 24-point deficit early in the year to beat Peyton during the regular season. Tom Brady is one of those quarterbacks who does well in the cold, so I'm not worried about that being a factor for him. I think that he's going to go up there and he's going to have a really good game, and I'm looking forward to LeGarrette Blount having another one of those good games on the ground, because the Denver Broncos defense has been a little shaky this season, with or without Von Miller on the field. They've been shaky, and I like Tom Brady and I like the Patriots. I like Bill Belichick, and I think that they'll be able to go on the road and get this win and move on to the Super Bowl.
I just seriously think, I know that the Chargers beat Denver in Denver, which was the only home loss. They put up a pretty good fight. They didn't go out without a fight, and it was kind of a little edge of your seat type of thing, because the Broncos had pretty much the whole game under control this past weekend. And then next thing you know, they do like the New Orleans Saints did, where they get an onside kick and they kind of add a little excitement towards the end of the game, but it wasn't enough, obviously, as it ended up.
Let me say this about that too, because I know we were actually questioning Marcus Colston and what was he doing. It was reported in that Saints game that was actually a design play by the coaches.
Oh, no,
he just messed up on the throw.
Yeah.
But I know we were actually talking about that and what was going through his mind. But it actually was a play that they designed. So I want to take a little bit off. But even though he did mess it up, but
Colston did pretty much everything right from for the last 5 minutes of the game, 3 minutes of the game, because they go down the field. They score a touchdown, and then he recovers the onside kick, and then he makes the completion. He could have went out of bounds. He's around midfield, about 5 seconds left to go. You give Drew Brees another chance to go out there and, try to throw a long bomb and get the game-winning touchdown. I kind of figured that he didn't take it upon himself to do something like that. It would have to have been a design play to have the receiver all the way across on the other side of the field be prepared for that. But I mean, how do you even mess that up? It was clearly forward, too. It wasn't even like slightly forward. I just don't know. Maybe if the wind was a factor or whatever the case may be, as he tried to throw that long bomb
We
right
know
across the field.
for one thing, he wasn't one of those quarterbacks in college that turn
no,
turn it to
change
receiver
positions
when they
and,
got to the NFL. Was it Colson? One of the better receivers in football, but that was just a bad play that
and
ultimately cost them a chance to go to the NFC Championship.
I was hoping for it to actually, I was rooting for the Saints because I was figuring, I did pick the 49ers since the beginning of the season to win it all. So I have to go and figure that if New Orleans would have won, then we would have had 2 wild card teams in the NFC Conference Championship. I can't remember the last time that happened or if that even happened.
Yeah.
And that would have given the 49ers home field advantage as a 5th seed wild card, which, is a
But in
very
that case,
rare
then I
occasion.
would have picked the 49ers to win that game if they had played the Saints. But it's a whole different monster in Seattle. Again, my man Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch, who again set the tone on New Orleans, where he originally got the name Beast Mode and set a record, for the Seahawks, 144 yards in a playoff game. He also added 2 touchdowns in that game. He's been carrying the load for the Seahawks on the offensive end. It was good to see Percy Harvin. He didn't do that much, but he made a couple of big plays, which I like because he's definitely going to be needed in this game, especially if Anquan Bolden is going to play the way he played, which was lights out. In that divisional round playoff game. So, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to actually go to I love when the ladies send us fan mail questions. Jackie Jackie is actually writing in from San Francisco. So what's going on? We on the West Coast today, and she writes, "Who will have a bigger NFC Championship game, Marshawn Lynch or Anquan Bolden?" I'm gonna say Marshawn Lynch, just because he pretty much controls what he does. In order for Anquan Bolden to have a breakout game or a good performance, it's dependent on what Colin Kaepernick does. With Marshawn Lynch, his number is called and he has the ball as soon as it's snapped pretty much, and he'll be able to run and do whatever. So I'm going to say Marshawn Lynch.
I'm going to agree with you on certain aspects. I mean, Lynch doesn't completely control his own destiny because he does have to rely on his offensive line. And that defensive line of the 49ers is a pretty tough defense as well. That being said, Richard Sherman's probably going to be on Bolden, so I'm going to agree with you that Marshawn Lynch has the better game.
They do have a nice little secondary out there.
They definitely do. But I mean,
But
do
Vernon
have some
Davis
weapons.
will be
you
open,
have
though.
Vernon Davis, you have Crabtree out there, so they do have a great secondary in Seattle. But I think that with the options that Kaepernick has, combined with the fact that he can run the option and run.
Yeah.
So
my concern is containing Vernon Davis. I think that out of all of the receivers in San Fran, Vernon Davis is the biggest threat to have a monster game, because if there is a weak point in the Seahawks defense, I would say it's the speed of those linebackers, and will they be able to keep up with Vernon Davis, contain him? I know they're going to throw a lot of double teams at him, some different coverages. He's going to see different coverages throughout the
they had
entire
Sherman
game.
on Graham,
and it works.
Yeah.
It works. I mean, why I say? But see, now here's the thing: if you put Sherman on Vernon Davis, now who's going to be on Anquan Bolden? So that's the thing.
Davis is going to be.
Yeah, because you can't have Bolden, with another 130-plus yard game in the NFC Championship, game. So, but again, it's going to be a great matchup. And what I thought, what I found was actually funny is you have the battle of the seasoned vets on in the AFC, and then you have the battle of the young and up and
Yeah.
comers, in the NFC, and Russell Wilson and Kaepernick, and then of course Brady and Manning. So this is actually a very interesting set of championship games that we have.
I think the storyline probably would have been more interesting, but not as exciting of a game in that AFC if Andrew Luck was somehow able to upset Tom Brady, just because Andrew Luck pretty much replacing Peyton
Yeah.
Manning and the Colts, and Peyton Manning playing his old team and his old franchise. So I
Yeah.
think the storyline probably would have been better. But you can't go wrong with Brady and Manning. I mean,
14,
epic.
14 games versus each
Yeah, I
other.
mean, but most of them were in the regular season.
Yeah.
A few playoff battles. Brady does have the best of them combined between playoffs and regular season. But speaking of rivalries, this brings the question. John from Boston wrote in, which of these was or is the best sports rivalry? Ali Frazier, Brady Manning, Johnson Bird, or Chamberlain Russell? And he's got somebody from everybody there, John.
Yeah.
Well, other than Ali Frazier, but as far as football and basketball, he's got somebody from Boston representing him. And I'm gonna go with Bird Johnson. I think that was a historic rivalry that started in college, actually. So it went from college to professional. So just for that fact and how long that rivalry lasted and how they became how they became friends afterwards, somewhat of friends if you actually watch the documentary on them. They played together in the Dream Team. There's like that mutual respect for each other, and just so many times in the NBA Finals. I mean, Brady Manning, they didn't play in the Super Bowl against each other. I mean, the little brother beat up Tom Brady, but Eli Manning, of course, but Peyton Manning can't play him in the Super Bowl. It's always a AFC battle. You can't go wrong with Chamberlain Russell too, but I think just because it was a little bit more even, because Russell obviously had the bulk of the wins there and the championships there, winning 8 in a row, and kind of dominating on that sense. I got to go with Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
Yeah, I think I would put that. But you know what? To be honest, I might actually put that Ali Joe Frazier rivalry, up there for the, and not even so much for what went on in the ring, but everything that was going on outside of the ring at that time. Because now you're talking about Muhammad Ali not enlisting, Joe Frazier, he was in the services, and that whole thing outside of boxing. Then you had Ali who couldn't fight for a couple of years, and then now you add on everything, with the Thriller in Manila, then the other two fights, I might put that one up there as well. I do love Jordan and excuse me, Magic and Bird, because
The video game was Jordan.
yeah,
versus
exactly.
Bird,
The video game was Jordan versus Bird, but I do love Magic and Bird as well because they're head up. Like, I kind of take Tom Brady and Peyton out, even though I know there's a rivalry there, but since they don't play each other, they play the defenses, I kind of take them out of the equation. And then, like you said, with Chamberlain and Russell, Chamberlain pretty much dominated. There wasn't no back and forth,
Yeah, I mean, Wilt
in
got
that one.
a couple of rings out of the that situation, but at
Well,
the
11
same
to
time,
11 to
Yeah.
that's a huge gap. So it would definitely have to be out of.
I mean, those were the only two that kind of because Larry Bird played small forward, and
Magic played everything.
Well, not he didn't really guard Bird or anything.
Yeah.
So in that case, Chamberlain and
Russell, because they actually guarded
yeah,
each other.
Exactly. So I
And,
mean, I see that point, but I'm going with Johnson Bird because there's a lot outside of the sport too. And if you watch the documentary, how there was race issues and there was all different types of things with the Johnson versus Bird, and just the national presence. The fact that it lasted the longest, I think, is really where I'm going because of the fact that it started in college. I mean,
Yeah.
Ali Frazier was a global phenomenon, but I mean, if kind of Magic Johnson and Bird was too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
the Dream Team, them and Jordan were really the stars of the Dream Team. There, it was pretty much the three of them. So
I mean, you can't go wrong. Whichever rivalry that you pick. I mean, I love them all. I love watching them all. Go at it. I love going back and watching the old fights. with Ali Frazier. I love watching, Bird and Magic going head to head. I even love the Dream Team documentary, like you
Yeah.
brought up, where where Mike comes in and says there's a new sheriff in town, and he went out there and he proved that there was a new sheriff in
And
town.
both Bird and Magic looked at each other. I was
Yep.
like, he's right.
Exactly.
So.
So it's definitely you can't go wrong with any of
Great
that.
question, by the way. Thanks, John, for writing in. And once again, we are live, so you can tweet your fan mail questions at Real Fan Talk or individually at Statman_Skevich and at Trip Young JPTV. And also the fan mail email address, fanmail at realfansrealtalk.com. If you will broadcast your questions live on the air. We are live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BronxNet Television. If you're not a Bronx resident, you can watch the live stream every Tuesday. Just go to realfansrealtalk.com, RFRT Media, the drop-down menu, RFRT TV, and you can watch the live stream for those of you that are watching us archived on Brooklyn and want to participate in future live events. We are interactive every single week, so we do appreciate the fan mail questions. You could also like our Facebook page and send your fan mail questions there, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk. And also the Twitter address at RealFanTalk once again. You could do all of that right from our website, realfansrealtalk.com. And on the homepage of our website, we're actually advertising our upcoming Rolling for Results charity bowling event. This is the third year we're doing it. This year it's for Growth and Development Services, also known as GDS. GDS has been helping the New York City communities, kids with mental illnesses for over 17 years. Their Reach Your Potential model is a proven success. It's helped numerous kids along throughout the years. They benefit through the program. They end up going to college. They end up getting jobs. These are kids that are in desperate need of help. And you can participate in the bowling event for only a $50 donation. It gets you 2 hours of bowling on a team. Prizes will be awarded courtesy of Perks Travel, a 2-day hotel vacation to various destinations will be included. For more information, just go to realfansrealtalk.com. It's 2 hours of bowling on a team, shoe rentals included, beer, wine, soda, food. It's all inclusive. A great night out, Saturday, January 25th. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bowlmore Lanes, Times Square. Centrally located, almost every train goes over there, so it's going to be a fun night for a good cause. Once again, realfansrealtalk.com, right on the homepage. We have all the information you need, and you could also, if you want to donate more, we actually have a lot of different prizes out there that you could donate. Authentic autographed memorabilia from various superstar athletes, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, a lot of those that we mentioned, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Carmelo Anthony, John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Muhammad Ali, the list goes on, Manny Pacquiao. It's too long to mention. I'd be here all day, but we have a lot of superstars autographed memorabilia, so check it out, realfansrealtalk.com. It's authenticated from various reputable sources like Upper Deck, so it's authentic merchandise. A lot of cool stuff out there, so make sure you check it out, and you'll be helping out a good cause at the same time. Realfansrealtalk.com, right on our homepage for the links to the charity's website to donate.
Can we go to the Twitter sphere right now? Because I want to pull up definitely want our Twitter followers at home that we have been receiving their questions. So I'm gonna go to the Twitter, and this is from at NFL Soup Fan, something like that. I hope I'm saying that right. But his question is what do you guys think of Deion Sanders tweeting that he is going to suit up for this year's Pro Bowl?
I mean,
well, let me say this. This is Neon Dion that we're talking about right here. So if Dion wants to suit up for the Pro Bowl, I'm all for that. If that's actually legal, if he can actually come in and play in the Pro Bowl, I would love to see Deion Sanders in the Pro Bowl.
He already went first in the NFL draft under
Hey,
What was the name on that commercial?
exactly. So
I
that'll
can't
be
remember.
a great. And actually, Jerry Rice responded to his tweet. So I would love to see both of them, suiting up for the Pro Bowl and going at it. They both, look like they're still in good shape. They can get down the field. Maybe for a quarter, have those guys in the game. I would love to actually see that. But what do you think, Stat man? Should Dion be allowed to put on a
I
uniform?
mean, he's Neon Dion. He can do whatever he wants. That's like if you ask, should Michael Jordan be able to play in the All-Star game? If he wants to do it, let him do it. I'd
Yeah.
love to see it. If Brett Favre wants the quarterback for the Pro Bowl, let him do it too. Why not?
Why don't we just have a senior bowl,
A
senior
Senior
Pro
Bowl. There
Bowl,
you go.
and then we'll bring all of the the retirees back out and have
And
them play.
you can get the 70-year-olds too with the leather helmets and everything. A nice little throwback there.
Well, they might have to put their walkers to the side for that one. But
Well,
so
I
I don't.
mean, the old
I don't know if
folks
if that's
broadcast
safe.
live from the old folks home or something. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
listen, it's possible, but definitely, if Dion wants to suit up, I'm all for Dion suiting up because I think he might go out there and shut a couple of these young guys down. So I would definitely love to see that. We did have another coaching hire in the NFL. Jim Caldwell, now former Ravens offensive coordinator.
Leon Sandcastle, by the way, before we move on.
He will be the new head coach of the Detroit Lions. Now, previously they were looking at Ken Wisenhunt, who was actually taking the job for the Tennessee Titans. So he's going to be head coach in the Tennessee Titans. But why is it that do you think that he kind of turned down the Lions head coaching job to take the Titans when if you look on paper the Lions are definitely a better team, I would say anyway.
Was
You
it
have
more money? Was it
no,
more,
it was just
I mean, a lot of things go into factors into contracts like that. How much control he might have on the team. Does he have a say on what players go on? So there's a lot of different factors. It could be the geographical location. Maybe he has family or friends that are closer to the Tennessee than Detroit. So a lot of different factors go
because
into
I mean
that.
I'm just thinking you have the best wide receiver in football in Calvin Johnson. You have Matthew Stafford, who is not great, but he's definitely a good quarterback.
Maybe he wasn't officially offered the job, and maybe it was something that they thought that they were going to take him, and then upon further review, they decided to go another route. So I mean, there's a lot of different variables in that.
Well,
so.
they signed. I mean, they picked up Jim Cowell after he took the job with the Titans. They said it was his to lose or whatever. But
But
I
like
mean,
said,
I
there's
might
a lot
I
of
would have. But
variables
would
I
you
can't,
have taken the
I mean,
the
if I had to
Titans
choose
job
a team, I would
over the
definitely
Lions?
choose the Detroit Lions. There's no question about that. I mean, there might be something where maybe he feels that if he could choose the draft picks in this upcoming year and have control of that or something, that maybe he feels that he'll have he knows who he wants for the team, or maybe it might be a control thing. Like I said, it could be just geographical location. I mean, Detroit it doesn't look as good as Tennessee nowadays. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, I
I
guess
mean, the Michigan
it's
itself,
warmer,
you could
in
live in
Tennessee.
the suburbs or something.
Yeah, they did
so.
just file for bankruptcy, so I think the old Line Stadium sold for what $3 million or something like that. So hey, Tennessee is definitely is on the up and up. We're gonna go back to another fan mail question. Again, this is the ladies, and this is Cindy from Dorchester who's writing in. If Tom Brady or Peyton Manning win the Super Bowl this year, where would that put them on the all-time list for QBs? I would say that if Tom Brady wins Super Bowl, he would definitely be top 3 all time, maybe even top 2. Peyton Manning, I would say definitely top 5.
I think he's already
maybe
top 5 right now. Most
closer to
people put
4.
him on top 5 as it is. You might legitimately, if he could overcome that stigma of not being a playoff quarterback and then be the first quarterback to win the Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Now, there have been 2 other quarterbacks in the past that have won championships. Back when in the AFL days, there was a couple of guys that won exactly 2. that won on two different teams, but never a Super Bowl on two different teams. So Peyton Manning will be the first to do that. That's first of all. Then he gets rid of the stigma that he's not a playoff quarterback. He just broke Tom Brady's and Drew Brees' record in the same year after coming back from neck surgery. And just his leadership on the field, the reading defenses. I mean, Tom Brady has had a phenomenal offensive line for the majority of his career. I always said
think they both had a
snaps
phenomenal offensive line.
He snaps the ball. He takes a nap, wakes up, hits the snooze button, wakes up again, then throws a pass because of how much time he has. But I guess
They both had some phenomenal offensive lines throughout their careers.
I mean, Saturday was a great center, obviously for the Colts. I mean, they've both had some. I think Tom Brady more so, but at the same time, just play calling and sheer talent. I mean, most people would say Peyton Manning. I don't know
about most people. It's probably split. I don't know about most people will go in
probably
one direction.
60-40 split.
If it's anything, it'll probably be split more towards Tom Brady because we're talking about 3 rings to 1 ring, and he actually performs in the playoffs as well as in the regular season. Except when he goes up against Eli Manning, then that's a whole different story.
This is true. This is true. I mean, I was gonna say that, but I was just gonna let you finish.
Yeah,
you brought it up.
But outside of that, I mean, listen, they've both been very fortunate to have great offensive lines. They've had great receivers throughout the course of their careers. I think
Peyton Manning, I think, just let him go to the Super Bowl so that his younger brother could pick on him. That's probably
I guess. And he figured that he kept getting his butt kicked by the Patriots. So
the neck surgery, maybe he just took that year off so his little brother could pick on Tom Brady again.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Obviously, I'm not serious, ladies and gentlemen, but you never know what
are you gonna do? But hey, tomato. Either way, they are 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. No matter where you have them placed, they're definitely either way. They're in the top 5, so we shall see. But only one of them will advance to the Super Bowl, and that will all take place this Sunday in Denver, Colorado. I believe that's the 6:30 game, if I'm not mistaken, which will cut into our radio time this Sunday, Real Fans Real Talk on the Block Talk Radio Network, which we air 7:30 to 8:30. But it should be around halftime when we come on the air, so make sure you guys still tune in. And if not, you just turn your TVs down while you're watching the game, and you listen to Real Fans Real Talk, because we're gonna be giving you all of the updates on what's going on anyway. So you could just pause the TV for a second, turn the volume down, and just listen to us. We're better than their commentators. Yeah,
oh, definitely
more entertaining anyway.
So about that one, but I do got to move along to a story that I'm kind of sick about, to be honest with you, but there has been some intriguing recent revelations out there because of Anthony Bosch's appearance on 60 Minutes and the whole big A-Rod scandal. His initial suspension from 211 games got downgraded by the arbitrator to a full season, including the playoffs. So they said 162 games, which is a season, and then the playoffs, he might still go to spring training just while he appeals it in federal court. But during the 60-minute interview, it's tough because you had A-Rod's lawyer over there defending one side, and then you had Bosch over there defending the other. But there were some text messages that were revealed. Some of the evidence actually came about. So now I was kind of a little skeptical and kind of somewhat believing A-Rod that, the MLB and the Yankees organization were kind of co-conspiring to get rid of his contract, because he's set to lose $25 million, which relieves the Yankees of some serious luxury tax dollars as well. So, I started to believe him, but then you see the text messages of him texting Anthony Bosch what he should take. And, then they showed some of the footage from the game itself, where I believe he got 2 doubles and a run that day. And they talk about how he chewed on some testosterone. That he talked about how it wouldn't show it wouldn't show up in urine test after the game because it's designed that way. And Bosch got into the scientific specifics of it, and then also showing pay statements. Anthony Bosch got kind of an attempt of hush money of $49,000 in his bank account from A-Rod as he was progressively talking to MLB. And now, to A-Rod's defense, his lawyer, who was on 60 Minutes as well, came about and said that, well, the MLB is paying Anthony Bosch to do this, and they're not really paying him. They paid for his protection and they paid for his legal services. And the reason why they paid for his protection was because Anthony Bosch, was saying that he feared for his life because you have Alex Rodriguez, his crew basically telling him that we want you to go to Colombia. We'll pay you $20,000 or something a month until everything dies down, and then you come back. And he's thinking Colombia, that he's never going to come back from there. They told his ex-girlfriend, I don't know if it was text or on a voicemail or just conversation, that Anthony Bosch wouldn't live to see the end of the year. So it seemed like with A-Rod's connections, how powerful he was down there in Miami and everything, that he was going to have people take care of Anthony Bosch, if you know what I mean by take care. And that's something that, sheds a whole new light of the situation. And based on the evidence that were there, I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit. I mean, what do you think now that all these new revelations came about?
Here's my thing, because I'm just, I'm through with this, because I really just feel like now they trying to railroad my man A-Rod with this is a bunch of nonsense, 211 games for somebody that's never been suspended. Then, but I'm gonna move on past that. I'm just gonna deal with Anthony Bosch right now. All right, you go on 60 Minutes.
No relation to Chris Bosch, right?
No relation to Chris Bosch. It's actually, the spelling is different. But, you go on 60 Minutes, you talking all of this mess. Am I supposed to just believe you? Am I supposed to take your word for it? You're a criminal yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but you do have text messages, you do have documents.
You are a drug pusher. You know that song, I'm Your Pusher Man? That's what Anthony Bosch is, your pusher man. So, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to take his word because he says all of this stuff, because he says A-Rod was sending him death threats and he has some text message. I got text messages. I can formulate some text messages, send you a text right now and say it's from such and such. I know people that know people that know people that can hook up a text message. Listen, I think this is...
Don't say that on the air.
I think this is a bunch of nonsense.
Malarkey?
Yeah, from somebody who got caught in a rat trap, and now to save his own butt, he is, going to say and do whatever he can to get out of the trouble.
Do you think A-Rod didn't do steroids, though?
What I'm saying is I wasn't there, but what I do know is that he's not once tested positive for steroids, so I don't know. If you show me a test result that says A-Rod tested positive,
Bosch got into the specifics on the strategy for him to not get caught with on the urine test, and he had a very specific regimen.
We took a quick flush, because I know about those too. They got quick flushes on the shelves.
It wasn't just that, but at the same time, regardless of that, I'm kind of up in the air about the whole thing because, I mean, there's a lot of different factors involved in it, and then the fact that A-Rod during the arbitration they wanted Bud Selig to take the stand, and he refused to. And A-Rod left saying this is BS, and he left just similar to how he left the initial hearing. And, you can't really leave these hearings, and do that. But at the same time, I can
get frustrated.
I can understand the frustration, because how do you, as the commissioner of baseball, you put up these huge accusations, and then next thing you know, you're not going to take the stand in that case? I mean, I understand from Bud Selig's standpoint, you do have lawyers who are very good at getting things out of you and manipulating people's words. So I do understand that, but I also understand A-Rod's perspective.
If you're right and you're 100%, you don't have any malice, any wrongdoing, then go up there and speak on it. Go up there and say it, because I know me personally, if you know, if I was in that situation and it's something where it's like this, you saying something about me, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna defend whatever I say to the T. I'm not scared to go up there unless I know I done did something wrong, or you know I'm trying to cover something up. I'll go up there and speak on it and say, you know, what it is. My whole thing is, whether he did it, whether he didn't, I'll never know. I wasn't there. You know, only him and God will truly know whether he did it or not at this point. Now, until you show me some proof. When you show me some proof, some evidence that this actually went down, because right now I haven't seen anything to say to say that this man did this or he did what, he did whatever. I want to see some proof, some hardcore evidence saying this, and then I will go along, and even to an extent, because I still don't believe that he should have been given the 211 games from the jump, because he was never suspended before. And obviously, yeah, they took off, they took down some of the games and brought it down to 162 games. But I mean, when you're coming from 211, obviously, it's, okay, yeah, great, he knocked off some games, but it's still 162 games to a man that's never been suspended before. What happened to the 50?
I kind of said this on the radio show this past Sunday, and I've been saying it before. Where did the 211? I agree with you 100%. That the first suspension is supposed to be 50 games. He agreed to it before, but wasn't suspended. Second suspension is supposed to be 100 games. So even if you want to tally those two up and give him 150, I could kind of see somewhat of the logic in that. Like, he wouldn't miss the playoffs in that scenario. And it would kind of make sense because, hey, you got caught for it, we let you go, we didn't suspend you, so let's do 150. That's a number that made sense. In this case, they wanted to wipe out his entire year's salary to save that from the luxury tax and everything. So I do kind of believe some aspects of what A-Rod is saying, but I mean, it's really tough to without all the evidence in front of you. I do see some of the evidence with bank transfers. As this was going on, that got sent to Bosch, it was a little over 49,000. At the same time, Bosch, during the interview, he's like, they told me to go to Colombia and they would pay me, I forgot what it is, I think 20,000 or 25,000 a month. I mean, he remembers that he was getting paid 12,000 a month from A-Rod. He remembers this dollar amount, but he doesn't remember how much they said, like, that they were going to pay him to go to Colombia. So it's a
lot going on in between what's really going on, and we're not going to know right now, because I don't believe him. He, like, some people you look at when they're speaking and you say, you can take them at their word, and some guys you look into their eyes and you just and you in your heart of hearts you just feel like you're not getting 100% of the truth. And when I see Anthony Bosch, that's what I feel like from him.
Yeah.
So
I think both A-Rod and him.
Yeah, so now it's like it's to the point where,
which liar do you believe
exactly?
More? And I could, at this point, I could care less.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the blog on our website on realfansrealtalk.com. It's called Hall of Shame, and it goes over PEDs and the Hall of Fame and people being banned in the Hall of Fame, and it goes over all different sports with PEDs. So it's definitely a good timeless read. You can check that out, realfansrealtalk.com. Go to Mark Statman-Skevich's blog and check that one out. But since we're on the topic of A-Rod, one other fan mail question we got, Greg from Brooklyn writes, will A-Rod ever play in Major League Baseball again? And I got to say yes. Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to sit out this year. I mean, the suspension was more than the 150 that I think he should have gotten max, probably because of the accusations of death threats and obstruction of justice, which is probably their reasoning behind it. But at the same time, it's 1 year. The following year, he's going to be paid a lot of money to play, so he's going to play. I don't think he's going to retire unless they could find some other types of charges to put on him. I see him playing. Even if he's not that good anymore, he's going to play. I mean, so.
Yeah, even if this was the last year of his contract, I still think that he would try to get picked up by another team, and teams will pick him up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody's going to need him, because again, when he came back, last season towards the end of the season, he was playing some pretty good baseball. He wasn't MVP Alex Rodriguez, but he was hitting some home runs. He was playing some decent baseball. So it wasn't like he came back and was just horrible. And you never want to see him on the field again. That's just not the case. So I think that either way, he will be back. And he wants to come back because he has a
got
lot to
something to
show,
prove,
and especially this now, and again,
He
he's
doesn't
now.
want to be known as that Yankee that
Yeah, exactly.
this, that, and that, which he will know almost no matter
Yeah,
what he
it
does
doesn't
at this
matter
point,
unless he
but
comes back and they test him every day for steroids and he gets the MVP
he's
and
gonna
leads the
have
Yankees
mid-inning,
to the World
mid-inning
Series.
testings, third
Yeah,
inning time
exactly.
for the
Three
third
tests a
inning
game.
pitch test.
Yeah, exactly. So unless that's the case, he's gonna be remembered as that anyway. But he wants the chance to redeem himself, and I think that he will most certainly be back. He wants to play, you know. We'll take it when we see him back on the field. He is taking this thing to federal court, so who knows? We may have a situation where this whole thing is overturned by a federal court judge. So this is not going to be over anytime soon. He
The
is
only
suing the
evidence would
MLB.
be urine tests that would hard proof. I mean, everything else, I don't. You're going by somebody's word. I mean, I see both sides of it. I still, in the long run, I still kind of side with A-Rod, even though I'm not a fan of A-Rod, as most people, most baseball fans out there aren't,
Yeah.
including Yankee fans, because he's just somebody that you happen to hate because of his history. But
Yeah, my thing is just the amount of games that they threw at him. Because even if he did it, yes, he should be suspended. But this is just ridiculous. The 162 games is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm actually pulling for A-Rod to have this thing overturned in federal court, and I hope he wins his lawsuit against MLB and the Players Association and all of that. I hope all of that works out for him. Because it's basically they're trying to make an example out of Alex Rodriguez, and we spoke about this on the air on Sunday. When it's a situation where everybody knew what was going on with the whole steroids era, going back to the home run, races between
McGuire
McGuire,
and
Sosa, Barry, and all of that. And Barry's another one who actually did not test positive
But he still has
for
the
anything.
asterisks
And
next to him.
exactly. So, everyone knew what was going on. And then now all of a sudden, once these guys are at the end of their careers and we're not bringing in any more money to the league, now it's throw them under the bus season. So, no, I'm not with that. I hope Alex Rodriguez, wins everything he's trying to get. So it is what it is. Let's take a break from the fan question and let's jump into this day in sports history, because we did have some things going on in sports history in 1919. We're going all the way back. I know you'll like this one, Statman. John
Group
McGraw,
collaboration.
Charles A. Stoneham, and Judge McQuaid by the New York Giants. 1919, man. That was way before Eli, though. Before
I
he
remember
beat,
that deal.
that was before he beat the
as Old Man
Patriots.
Statman, I remember that deal. And I was
Yeah,
like,
you
wow.
were there because you actually wanted to buy a
I
piece
was-
of the
I was gonna-
organization.
I was part of brokering that deal. Actually,
Oh, okay,
so.
okay, that's what it was. All right, I knew it was something, But go ahead, Statman.
And another ownership deal. Ted Turner becomes CEO of the Atlanta Braves, and that's long before he got into the wrestling business.
Yeah,
as you
that was way
noticed with,
before. It was 76.
WCW.
Atlanta Braves, shout out to the Ted Turner. And in 1987, Catfish Hunter and Billy Williams were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Catfish Hunter was the one that always had that crazy mustache. And so shout out to them. This year we should have we have some inductees actually into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Last year we did not have any, so it's good to see the numbers are growing again. We have some members into that
Including
whole
two
class.
of those former members of the Braves, and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux.
Exactly. So, but hey, shout out to Ted Turner for that one. A couple of his guys, made it in. They started this tradition of guys getting elected into the Hall of Fame back up this year. Hopefully next year, it'll continue. We'll continue to see more
That
guys
actually
elected.
inspired that blog I was talking about with Hall of Shame, because the fact that nobody got in when so many were well deserving of being in the Hall of Fame, I just decided to write that one. So definitely worth checking out, realfansrealtalk.com, along with a lot of other timeless blogs from all the members of the Real Fans Real Talk crew, and also the charity event Once again, Saturday, January 25th, Bowmore Lanes, Times Square, to benefit GDS, Growth and Development Services, who've been helping kids in the New York City community with mental illnesses for 17 years. Only a $50 donation, 2 hours of bowling, shoe rental, beer, wine, soda, all included. Right on the homepage, you can find out all the information with the links to donate to the charity.
And please, if you are going to be drinking beer and wine, drink responsibly, because Real Fans Real Talk is not liable for you if you fall onto the bowling lanes. Just want to put that put that out there right now, And again, you might want to be on Trip Young's team, because my team is the defending champions.
I think we're gonna have a Real Fans Real Talk team though.
Oh, we got to go against the GDS team. All right, good, because
we might partner up with GDS and just have us all collaborate on a team of 10 there.
But whatever team I'm always going to win. I'm just putting that out there right now.
A 2-day vacation hotel stay restrictions apply, but will be provided for the winning team, courtesy of Perks Travel. Go to perkstravel.com for more.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You get a free trip out the deal.
So,
hey, y'all better get your $50 up and sign up.
You could take your wifey boo, Serena Williams, over there.
That's right.
You know what?
That
she's always making you.
Hey, listen.
To treating you to travel vacations.
Exactly. Even though it's a free trip, but
yeah, I mean,
she don't got to know that. Wait, no, baby, you're not watching today, are you? Oh, you know what? We done messed up.
She's gonna be doing the Australian.
Yeah, she might not have seen it yet right now, because she
might be traveling right now.
Yeah, she's in Australia right now. The Australian Open began yesterday, so she's already got her first win of the tournament. So shout out to baby boo, wifey for lifey, Serena, who is still knocking them down. She's out there in Australia right now. She texted me, earlier today. She's resting after getting her first W of the tournament. She'll be back in action tomorrow. So I love you, baby boo. I'll see you when you get home from your trip. Sorry to hear my sister-in-law, Venus, did not make it. She was eliminated in the first round of the Australian Open. It sucks, but, I think it's just that time for her. And I hate to say it, because I do love my sister-in-law, but I think it's that time when I'm actually going to go to a fan mail question. And this is from Sarah, who is from New York, right here in Manhattan. And she writes in, will Venus Williams ever be a legitimate contender for a tennis major again? Again, sorry as I am to say this, I think it's done. And we've spoken about this at the family, barbecues and whatnot, at the spades table. It's just that it's age. It's her time. She's past her prime. But I'm glad that she still continues to go out there in all of these tournaments. Hey, play till you can't play anymore. Get it out your system now. But I just don't think she's going to be a legitimate contender for a major anymore. What do you think, Stat Man?
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I mean, it's sometimes the time issue is a factor, and then of course, if anything, she'd have to go up against her sister, your wifey boo, Serena. And I don't think that's gonna happen. So
well, I don't go against the home team. I know who butters my bread. So I don't go against baby boo, wifey for lifey. But shout out again to my baby boo. I wish you a safe trip over there, and when you come back, we get back into our thing on this side. She's not going to be back in time for the charity event, which kind of sucks, because I was looking forward to having her come out. But, I understand baby boo is over there, and she's looking to bring home another major title. So shout out to her again. On the men's draw, Rafael Nadal, he got a win today, as well as Ferrer, Djokovic. All of those guys have advanced to the next round in the Australian Open. I love it, baby. Tennis is in full effect. When the majors come around, I'm in a good mood. Being a former tennis player back in my heyday, I was out there on the courts. That's how me and Serena first met, back in the day. But, shout out to all of those guys who got wins, and we will keep you guys posted. If you guys check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, like the fan page or join the group. We'll be talking about the Australian Open for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at Real Fan Talk, or just go to the website and check the articles and see what's going on. Keep yourself abreast of what's going on in the world of sports. And, of course, that's realfansrealtalk.com.
And, of course, next week we will have the full crew back, and we'll be back to our shot-for-shot questions, where you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. And I did lose last week's episode of Shot for Shot, so next week I will probably have to put on something that I definitely don't want to put on. So tune into that once again every
That's
Tuesday.
gonna be a good episode.
I can't say it isn't because all our episodes are good, but it's not going to be fun for me to wear, especially the LeBron James shirt, which you happen to have the end of the introduction showing.
I wanted to make sure you got some good light, on the,
I'm sure.
while it goes. It's just,
Hate.
it happens. It definitely does. But hey, listen, you got
real quick on the Knicks. I know we didn't really touch on basketball with NFL playoffs in full effect. You have the whole A-Rod scandal and everything. The Knicks won in overtime, and I know the win is a win, but they really shouldn't have to struggle with the Suns like that. They should be a team.
The Suns are actually playing some decent basketball right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think talent-wise, the Knicks are so much better than that. And they had a double-digit lead. They're just really not playing to their potential this year, and I mean they're getting things back rolling in the win columns at least so far in 2014. And I figured that once Tyson Chandler came back and Amari's looking a little bit better, and I just expected a lot more out of them. They are actually in the 8th seed now, technically.
Hey, they are.
Toronto is not too far behind as far as
who's also been playing very well. Toronto has been playing some great basketball.
I figured I picked before the season started. I said watch out for Toronto, watch out for Detroit. Detroit is actually ahead of the Knicks too in the 7th seed.
But they've been kind of struggling as of late.
Picking up Josh Smith, they're going from a non-playoff contender to a playoff contender.
Yeah,
you put in
definitely
Josh Smith with other big men like Monroe, who hasn't been playing as well as last year, but maybe
they also brought over Brandon Jennings as well, which was a good pickup.
Exactly. So they got a lot of pieces there. So look out for Detroit as one of the sleepers. I mean, obviously the favorites to win it all are either Indiana or Miami, and we'll see what happens there as far as also the Bynum situation.
Keep you guys posted on that. Oh, and the rematch will be set for this April between Adrian Broner and Marcos Maidana, so be on the lookout for that. Once we actually get an official date, we'll let you guys know.
All right, well, with that being said, for Trip Young, I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. Make sure you tune in next week and for our radio show as well, the charity event. Everything's on our website, realfansrealtalk.com. Once again, for Trip Young, I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good night.
Shout out to Miami, making that trip to the White House today, telling my man Barack Obama, who was also joking on Mario Chalmers, making fun of him because the big three always get at him and they're always barking on him. So shout out to Miami for that, to the Real Fans, Real Talk family.
Just don't pass him the ball for a while, Chalmers, and see how
well, he's injured still right now, so that's cool. They got
he gets back.
To Manhattan, I get all my facts from my bro Mark the Stats Man. If you're not tuned in, I recommend the CAT scan. And if your brain checks out, then you deserve a backhand. Sports, gossip, all the hot topics. RealFansRealTalk.com got it. They got the hottest bloggers. Did Jeremy Lin hurt? Well, log onto the site and you can hear it from them first. I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor. Tell them Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter, tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified cosign, you know what I'm about, son. RealFansRealTalk.com, I'm out, what? Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. RealFansRealTalk.com. RealFansRealTalk.com.